Hey guys, it's Bendy, and I'm going to touch on a very sensitive topic. So, as you guys know, I have had a lot of people in my life pass away. And as you guys may know, I don't have parents. The only family I've got is my grandma. So, I wanted to touch on the topic on why I don't have parents. So, I don't know if this video is going to get flagged or not with what I'm going to be talking about. So, for trigger warning for anyone that is sensitive to these topics, I am going to be talking about abuse, childhood abuse, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and death. So, just a fair warning before I get into these topics. So, when I was young, around 4 years old, my father was in charge of watching me. My mother was working, and my father got severely drunk. And he had beaten me very severely. My grandmother came home. I guess that he called her because he came out of his drunken fit, and I was covered in bruises. My grandmother took me to the hospital, which is the grandmother I still talk to. That's the only family I have left. She doesn't even talk to her own son. And she took me to the hospital, and I think I was there for about 2 weeks. My parents stayed married for at least another year, and then they did divorce. My mother accused him of breaking her jaw, which we don't have any evidence of that. I believe that my abusive grandmother put that in her mind. She was the only one home. She fell down the stairs and got herself up and put herself back in bed. So I don't know what happened. I was 5 years old at the time, so I don't know what could have happened. But whenever she came home from the hospital, went into a fight with my father, and they got a divorce. Within a year after the divorce, my father had remarried his new wife, Angie, and yeah, I don't like her. Sorry to say that, but I don't like her. And we moved in with my abusive grandmother. My abusive grandmother was not nice to my mother, and she was most definitely not nice to me. I believe that it was generational trauma, and she was taking out her anger on me and my mom for what she went through as a child. I will get into that maybe at another time. My abusive grandmother tried her hardest to keep my mom off of alcohol, but my mom just would not listen. My mom had 8 back surgeries in 4 years. When I turned 13, we had moved into my grandfather's house. My grandfather had cheated on my grandmother, and we moved into his home. And after a month of living there, my mom kept complaining about the back pain, which I could understand. He had gotten her fet patches. Not going to say the full word because I don't want to get demonetized. And the fet patches, she put on too many, and that took her life. Whenever she passed away, we were taken by our abusive grandmother. My father fought for custody of us for only a couple of months. My abusive grandmother planted in my mind that my father had done very, very drastic SA stuff to me. Mind you, I was 13. I didn't know what intimacy was until I was 17 when my ex-best friend gave me the talk. So, yeah. So, a 13-year-old making accusations like that, how would I have known to make accusations like that? So, I am sorry that those accusations were made. But my sister, who was 11 at the time, had told my stepmother, Angie, that she wanted to go home to the life she knew. My stepmother had cornered her into a chair, telling her that she was worthless, that she'd be better off if she unalived herself, and how she was responsible for everything. And I went to step in. My stepmother turned to me and said, "If your father knew you'd be born disabled, he would have had you aborted." My father was in the room whenever this was being said. I remember where each and every one of us was. My littlest sister hiding behind me, my sister that was getting targeted in the chair, my stepmother leaning over her, my father slouching on the couch. I remember it was evening time, and it was only like an hour until my abusive grandmother would come and get us. And I remember looking over at him, looking at him to defend me. And he shrugged and looked away, either as if it wasn't his problem or as if he agreed with it. So, yeah. After that, we stopped visiting with them. And my other grandmother, which is the one I do talk with, got visitations with us instead. Because she didn't want us around. My stepmother didn't want us around. So it was messy, and my father gave up the custody battle. I tried reaching out to my father when I was 23. I tried making amends with him. Mind you, at the time, I was pagan. I was a lesbian. I thought I was supposed to be something I wasn't. And he saw me as a threat to him and his household. And he made it clear that I wasn't welcomed in his life. So he kicked me out again. I mean, it hurt. From 13 to 23, not a phone call, not a Christmas card, not a birthday card, nothing. No visits for graduation, nothing. In times when I needed him, he was not there. I'm now 28. I did send him a message on his birthday. My one sister has contact with him. She often has him come to things for her kids. I've tried making amends with him one last time. But you can't force someone to love you that refuses to love you. So why push for something that doesn't belong to you? And I've accepted that. So it hurts. It does hurt. But letting it affect me, letting it drown me, is not going to make a difference. I'm not going to let it affect me as much as I want it to. It does hurt. But what difference will it make if I wallow in sorrow or get up and continue with my life? Crying about it isn't going to make him love me. So I've accepted that he's not part of my life, and I consider the only family I have being my grandma, and I am okay with that. So, yeah. My father does have a sister. I used to go over there for family gatherings and stuff for like Christmas and Thanksgiving, but because they consider me being a loose cannon, I am no longer welcome. Yeah, I have a bit of a mouth. Yeah, I can be a little disrespectful, but I've been working on it. It's only been 3 years since I've escaped the abuse of my family. Of course, I'm going to have some struggles here and there, and they should be a little bit understanding of that. But, again, you can't force people to accept you for what you've gone through. You can't force someone to love you that doesn't. So, it is what it is, and I'm okay with that. So, just wanted to explain why I am alone, and I'm okay with that. So, Bendy out.